Razzle dazzle, razzle die. Time for the show to come alive.
Razzle dazzle, razzle dazzle.
Track versus track. I'm Jacob Rosdale, and joined. I was going to say as always, but it's been a while. We're not doing Nickelback though. We are doing the Replacements. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm buried in props right now, but we'll do the stripper, and these will slowly kind of start to go away, and you'll get more of me in focus. But I'm looking forward to this, Jacob. It's been a year.
Matt, introduce our guest.
All right. Well, because it's been a year, we figured we had to come back with a bang, and I've got my bandmate and good friend Noah Harris from the Sweet Nothings, and a huge Replacements fan. So he's going to be track versus tracking with us today.
Thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited about this, and this is I would probably call them my favorite band. That cycles a lot, and I go through a lot of different stages of that and different genres, but overall I think that I would place them up there as my favorite.
I should also say this is not Noah's debut on Track versus Track. He and I about a year ago ranked the tracks off of Tom Petty's greatest hits, so if you caught that video, he was on that as well.
Well, welcome back. Matt, I know you wanted to start off by talking a little bit about the Replacements and our history with the band.
Sure. I'm going to feel a little self-conscious about this because I'm with the biggest Replacements fan here. But of course, they're a Twin Cities band, a four-piece originally. The Stinson brothers, Bob and Tommy, Chris Mars on drums and percussion, and then, of course, Paul Westerberg on vocals and guitar. They started off as like a hardcore punk band with their first couple albums and an EP. And then the previous album to the ones that we're going to be talking about, Let It Be, kind of saw them start to get a little bit of commercial success on the college radio circuit. And they were then signed by Warner Brothers and their subsidiary label, Sire Records. And so they put out 4 studio albums for Sire. And the 2 we're going to talk about are their first 2, Tim, which is their 4th studio album, and Pleased to Meet Me, which is their 5th studio album. And these 2 albums are pretty much a trio configuration. Tim does include Bob Stinson on guitar, but and he's credited fully, but the history books and different biographies have pretty much stated that he was pretty far gone during the Tim sessions. He would perform live, like on their famous Bastards of Young Saturday Night Live performance. But in terms of his actual musical involvement in the album, it was hardly anything. And then he didn't appear at all on Pleased to Meet Me. So you could basically say these 2 albums are from the trio of Tommy Stinson, Chris Mars, and Paul Westerberg. So I can remove this prop. Hey, look at me. There's part of my... I'll remove these here too, because these are the anniversary editions of Tim and Pleased to Meet Me. Actually, this is what kind of motivated this conversation. This is the Let It Bleed deluxe edition of Tim, which includes 4 discs, and it includes the LP remixed by Ed Stasium. Originally, this was produced and mixed by Tommy Ramone. And it's been criticized over the years for having just a very 80s production where the songs, when played live, didn't really sound anything like that. So the Ed Stasium mix is getting a lot of laurels right now in terms of it being fresh again and people like falling in love with this album all over again. This was just a remaster. This came out, I think, 2 years ago, of Pleased to Meet Me, which actually has always had pretty good production. Once again, it has kind of that 80s sound. It was recorded in Memphis, so you got a lot of horns and stuff like that, which is not very Replacement-esque. But where they recorded, it makes sense if you know the context behind it. So
I'm probably coming in with the least amount of Replacements knowledge. I only own, as far as props go, Matt is always outshowing me. I have a 1987 pressing of Pleased to Meet Me. It's the only Replacements album I own, though I've listened to Let It Be a lot. I had not listened to Tim in any serious state until Matt asked me to for this podcast. How about our guest talk about his Replacements history?
Yeah, so this is my 1987 pressing of Pleased to Meet Me. I actually picked it up in Electric Fetus in Minneapolis, so it holds a little bit more value. I think probably to myself and maybe the majority of Replacements fans, being that it came from, their monumental city. And I picked this up actually. I had a hard time getting back into vinyl for a long time, and then Matt really sort of kind of got me back into it. He's gifted me a ton of his records that he's upgraded or didn't want anymore, or etc., or maybe did want and just gave them to me anyways. But so as I started to grow that collection, I filled in all the Replacements albums, of course, and I have Sorry Ma and Let It Be downstairs too. And then this is the Tim, the original Hideous cover that has Paul Westerberg right there, and then upside down photo of Bob Stinson right there, and all the things to make this album cover look absolutely horrendous. And actually, I love the photo that's on the Let It Bleed edition. But yeah, that I should say that's a great photo right there of the Replacements. This is, I know that there's stories about they wanted to do everything as ugly and bad and horrendous as they could, so they wouldn't sell out and they wouldn't be the band that people wanted to listen to. Obviously, that didn't work for them because they were so good that people wanted to listen to them anyways. But like, for example, the Bastards of Young music video, if you've ever watched that, it's really not a music video at all. It's just a still shot of like an amp and a guy putting the music into the speaker, and it's very weird, and he kicks something over at the end, and that's just like the most Replacements music video you could ever dream up. So I don't know, are we talking about I'll let Matt talk about his history, I guess, to start.
Sure, we can circle back around if you've got more to talk about. So the first time I ever heard about the Replacements or knew anything about them was from this cheesy 90s comedy. Okay, so like most of people that grew up during the 80s and 90s, I had the biggest crush on Jennifer Love Hewitt. So anything Jennifer Love Hewitt was in, I was all on board. I was pushing all my chips towards the table. And of course, the title is "Can Hardly Wait." Didn't realize that was reference to a song. But at the end credits of this, they play the album version of "Can Hardly Wait," and I immediately fell in love with that song. And I had this movie taped off of HBO or something like that on VHS, and I wore that tape out. And it wasn't just because I was so enamored and infatuated by her, but I would listen to the end credits because I loved it so much. And they also did it where there was like that photo montage at the end where it showed all the different, because this is like an ensemble cast, and it would have the "Can't Hardly Wait" song going over the back of, so you could see all the actors. And so I haven't watched this movie in years, but I obviously bought it on DVD when that came out. So that was how I became a fan of the Replacements. So I bought this album first. And to be honest with you, I wasn't really digging punk at that point in my life. This was like 1997 or 1998, but I loved a few songs off of it. And I won't go over those, but that's how I heard about the Replacements. And then as I got older, I used to go up to Minneapolis quite a bit. And a bunch of my friends from high school had moved up there. We're going to college or were living there, and my cousins lived there. So we would go to Treehouse Records. That was when I started collecting records. And of course, Treehouse Records is the original spot that like Bob Stinson and Paul Westerberg on Lindale used to hang out. It was right across the street from the CC Club, where Stinson's mom was a bartender. But Treehouse Records was kind of my first, I guess, record store that I was really into. And I'm forgetting the name of what it was called. It wasn't called Treehouse when the band used to hang out there. It was called Folk Jokopus, it was called. It was right across the street from the CC Club. And Bob Mould from Husker Du used to hang out there all the time too. Grant Hart hated it. Grant Hart thought that place was like a bunch of pretentious assholes. He actually worked at the St. Paul location of Cheapo. But of course, Husker Du, another very influential Minneapolis band. And so I bought a lot of my first records at the record store, which was formerly Or Folk Jokopus, where those guys used to hang out. And I think Westerberg even worked there maybe for a time. So that's my Replacement story.
I don't have one, so I'll just defer.
the first time that I heard the Replacements, so when I have a brother who's 7 years older than me, and he was always into, both my brothers were always into really good music. But my oldest brother Zach he had a computer and he had like iTunes on it and all that stuff, and I was probably maybe 8 or 9 at that time, and I would go through his iTunes library and listen to a lot of different music, and that's where I got turned on to bands like the Pixies and Sonic Youth and Smashing Pumpkins and all of those, great bands of the 90s. And I remember I was listening to his iTunes library one day on shuffle, and the song that came on that I heard for the first time, and I don't think it initially drew me in, but it's a song that I remember hearing, was Kids Don't Follow off the Stink EP from the Replacements. And I always thought it was interesting because, when I was 8 or 9 years old, I had the situational awareness to know, like, we're close. I grew up in North Iowa. We're close to Minneapolis. And at the beginning of that song, you hear a police officer say, "This is the Minneapolis police," which is a real recording that they took from a house party that they were throwing in the 80s. That would have been for Stink. And so he says, "This is the Minneapolis police. The party's over." And I just remember being like, Minneapolis, hey, I know what Minneapolis is, And so that was the first time I ever heard a Replacement song. And then there's actually a little part, I'll say, in that song at the beginning when he's doing the intro, and he says, "I don't want to cause any hassle." The police officer says that, and you can hear somebody from the recording in the house say, "What's the hassle?" That is rumored, and he's claimed that it was him that said it, and the Replacements have confirmed it, that was Dave Pirner from Soul Asylum, that you can hear on that track at the beginning of that song too. So, as you probably know, and we're not talking about Stink today, but that was a very punk-esque EP, and that song in particular, "Kids Don't Follow," was a very punk song, and that's the kind of music that I ended up getting into in my teen years. So I think that listening to that probably had a lot to do with that. And yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, but that's how I heard the Replacements for the first time.
Well, excellent. I think we should probably get into the track versus trackness of it all. What we're going to do is we're going to go, as the title says, track by track. These are both 11 track albums. So track one will be versus track one. We'll each pick our winner, and at the end, we'll reveal the winner. And that doesn't mean it's the better album. That's not what this is about. It's just an exercise and a way to get us to talk about the album. Really, right, Matt? People get all pissy about this. It's just.
Yeah, they really do. They think it's such a convoluted method but you know what? It's for fun. And if you like a track better than the track that we picked, good for you, man. You win. I mean, you found something that you didn't find, exactly. Apparently. And a lot of it too is like splitting hairs. Because I'll say this right now before I say this all the time. I pretty much love or like every track off of both albums. So if I pick one over the other, doesn't mean I don't like that other song. But that's what we're doing.
For sure. Well, since Tim came out first, we probably should do it in the order of Tim, pleased, Tim pleased, Tim pleased.
Makes sense. All right. So the first song on Tim is "Hold My Life." And that's going up against the first song on "Pleased to Meet Me, Jacob," which is
"I Owe You," which I don't think is said in the song. Or if it is, it's not the chorus. So it is "I Owe You." Let's let Noah pick his winner first, since he doesn't get a hold of record and list titles.
Okay. This might be the hardest song, or this is tough because so I was going into this, as I mentioned earlier, I grew up with punk music. That's what I like. I like heavy music, but I also love the Replacements, and "Hold My Life" is a great song. It really is. And I've been listening to it more and more lately, obviously with the Ed Stasium mix, but I'm going to go with "I Owe You."
I am going with Hold My Life. It's basically everything I want out of a Replacements track. Not saying it's my favorite from this, but driving beat, clever lyrics, soaring chorus, makes me think of back when Gen X was cool, makes me want to watch singles on the DVD player. I'm now worried because I ordered a copy of Tim, and now I'm worried I'm not going to like it as much because it's the old mix. Maybe I should have gotten that box set. But Matt, you're going to break the tie here.
Yeah, this is an easy one for me. I mean, Hold My Life is one of my favorite Replacement songs. I'm sure that's no shock to Noah at all. I like IOU. IOU starts Pleased to Meet Me off with a bang. It's such a throwback song to their Sorry Ma Forgot to Throw Out the Trash Hootenanny albums. And I like that about the Replacements. I like how they retained that even when they signed to Warner Brothers or Sire Records. But Hold My Life, my God, talk about, and I'm going to use this a few times throughout this, so I apologize in advance for my redundancy here, but Beatlesque, man. You could tell that it's so freaking hooky. It's a perfectly composed power pop song. There's nothing punk about it at all, and it's just fantastic. And it clearly is wins for me. I mean, this was not even a contest. As much as I like IOU, I just think there's something special about Hold My Life. It's got that razzle dazzle essence to it. So, yeah. One for Tim for me.
Go to track 2.
Track 2. All right. Track 2. We got I'll Buy. And that's going up against
Alex Chilton. Big star, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we'll try and rotate it around so Noah isn't always put on the spot. I like I'll Buy. It's fine. I think Alex Chilton is a really good song. I'm going to go with Pleased on this one, and the musicians can talk more about what makes each song great. I'll Buy. I like that it has like a little country beat to it, but with a punk snarl. But there's just something more Replacements-y, I guess, about Alex Chilton.
So the dilemma that I was faced with was that this inspired me to want to do this. Actually, Noah was the one who suggested it. So Noah, thank you very much. And I was torn between if for this particular experiment to use this as the genesis for my ranking or this. And I decided that this is the fair way to go about it. Okay, so let me first talk about I'll Buy off of the Let It Bleed edition. Game changer arrangement. A song that I always liked, and Beatlesque again, particularly the chorus. The verses I'm not crazy about, but the chorus is just so Paul McCartney-like. And it breathes new life. This Let It Bleed breathes new life into it. It's now like the song that I've been listening to the most, I think. It's one of 2 songs I've been listening to the most. And my love for it grows daily, exponentially. However, we're talking about Alex frickin' Chilton, like the classic Replacement song, probably other than the last track of this album, their most popular song. And generally I like to be contrarian and go against the popular song, but it's the song's got more hooks than a fisherman's hat. I mean, it's about, of course, Alex Chilton, the lead singer of Big Star. These are their first 2 albums. You can even get a little twofer on the CD here. This, by the way, is a fantastic comp, out of print, but this is a 4-disc Big Star box set with outtakes and stuff like that. So why is the song called Alex Chilton? Well, does Alex Chilton play on the song Alex Chilton? No, he doesn't. But he does play on Can't Hardly Wait, which is interesting later on in the album. But he was the original producer for Tim. He was the original producer for Tim. As a matter of fact, this new box set has an entire disc of the Alex Chilton demos. And they didn't like how it sounded. The band didn't like working with them. Warner Brothers didn't like it. So that's why they got Tommy Ramone to produce the album instead. But, Paul Westerberg was a huge Big Star fan. And that song was just like his loving tribute and homage to it. But, as much as I love I'll Buy, and like I said, I'm really loving it more and more as the days go by, I got to go with Alex Chilton. It's too much of a classic to ignore, to not give the win to. So I'm going with Pleased to Meet Me as well.
Noah, you're not going to break a tie, but you can be a discerning vote or a contrarian voice.
I obviously I will echo pretty much everything you guys said, and then like Matt alluded to, Paul Westerberg was just such a huge Big Star fan, and I think that that's all he ever wanted, was to be the next Big Star. And just it's such a cool song that, like, you could still love that song without even knowing who Alex Chilton and Big Star are. And yeah, I love it. I love the Big Star reference in the song where he says, I never travel far without a little Big Star. Yeah, Alex Chilton for me too.
And you should hear him perform this song, Jacob. Oh my gosh. So Noah is a fantastic singer and guitar player, and he can pretty much handle any genre in any musical decade. But one of my favorite stuff that he does is the Replacement stuff, and he just kills this song. So yeah, I should have had him bring his guitar on and perform for the audience of Track versus Track. But no, his rendition is just out of this world fantastic.
Moving on to track 3.
Track 3, here we come. And I'll kick this one off, and I won't say a whole lot. We've got Kiss Me on the Bus from Tim.
And I Don't Know from Pleased. I do know. It's called I Don't Know. Kind of a punky track. I would say it's probably the thesis statement of the album, about one foot in the door, the other in the gutter, kind of the same as the album art. However, I know I just have to get it out. Kiss Me on the Bus has that kinetic romanticism I just love of the Replacement. So that's where my vote is going to go.
Right. Kiss Me on the Bus was actually always one of my favorite songs off this album. And then I don't know, I for whatever reason got kind of tired of it because it's a simple song, right? But when I listen to it now, being a huge Nick Lowe fan, it sounds like a freaking Nick Lowe song. It totally sounds like a Nick Lowe song or a Brinsley Schwartz tune. And it's got that little bit of countryness to it. But it's so lighthearted and whimsical. I don't know, just doesn't really, it's got that call and response thing going. It sounds like a Beastie Boys song. I don't know. But I do love the chorus, that one foot in the door, another foot in the gutter. And I like how you make reference to the cover art here. This is actually a parody of a 1960s Elvis Presley album cover.
Oh.
So if you do any research on the impetus to why this was the album, by the way, this is a fantastic cover. This is a crappy album cover. This is a great album. I love this cover. It also has like that Pink Floyd "Wish You Were Here" thing with this man shaking hands with the guy on fire. I don't know, just doesn't really do much for me. I don't think it's a bad song. I love the chorus, but I wouldn't call it throwaway. It just, I don't know. It sounds like you gotta fight for your right to party a little bit, and then that just monotone. I don't know. I mean, it's okay, but. Kiss Me on the Bus, I wouldn't say I love either, but I like it quite a bit more. So one for Tim for me as well.
Yeah, I think that I Don't Know is a great punk song. I think it's awesome. I do laugh every time I hear it, like that first I don't know. I do love the song. The more I listen to it, the more I like it. But I feel like this is kind of an easy Kiss Me on the Bus, because Kiss Me on the Bus is that's one of those songs that when it comes on, like in my car, I find myself singing along to it and bopping my head to it. I just don't have that with I Don't Know. And I guess it depends on what kind of mood I'm in or what day it is. And maybe I'm in a more punk mood one day and I would choose I Don't Know. But I think overall, Kiss Me on the Bus is great. And I just have to say that this is one of the songs that really shines in the Ed Stasium mix too. Well, all of them are great, but I just love the way it starts. On the bus, that's where, yeah, I love that song. Kiss Me on the Bus for me.
All right. So on Tim, we're at track 4, and we have Dose of Thunder.
Ooh, and on this one, it's Nightclub Jitters. Let's have Noah go first again.
So, okay, one thing about Pleased to Meet Me that I like, and especially on like the extended version and the deluxe edition, they explore a lot of different genres on this album, a lot of different genres. Nightclub Jitters to me just has too much of like a I mean the song name alludes to the exact style of music that you hear when you put it on. Um Not a huge fan of it by any means. Um Dose of Thunder to me, that was a song that Paul put on the album essentially to please Bob Stinson, and that's kind of the lore of that, and I really like that, and again grew up with the punk version of the Replacements, so I love Bob Stinson. I love the sloppy guitar playing. Slim Dunlap, who played on the later albums, is great, an amazing guitarist in his own right too. But I just think that I'm going so back and forth because like on the last song, you know, Don't Tell a Soul right here too. I'll point that out. Um, on the last one, I chose the more harmony laden Kiss Me on the Bus versus the punk. I don't know, but on this one, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to choose Dose of Thunder over Nightclub Jitters.
So the Replacements are such a curio because usually on an album, and Jacob and I have talked about where you place your best songs versus where you place your worst songs on an album. And usually like the 3 and 4 position is like a baseball team where you put your third hitter is usually your best hitter and your fourth hitter is your power hitter, right? Mm-hmm. But we just talked about the last song with Kiss Me on the Bus versus I Don't Know. I mean, I think we were the best we could say about those songs was that they were good. Like neither of them were like the best song on the album, right? And that's in the third spot. Here we have the same dilemma, but even maybe weaker, in my opinion. Dose of Thunder is a punk song. It shows Bob Stinson's aggressive, punky guitar playing. Definitely not a song you're singing along to, but it's short. It's like 2 minutes long. Whereas Nightclub Jitters is just like a novelty song, right? It's just this little novelty. Nightclub it brings back to that saxophone. I forgot to mention this. There's that cool little breakdown and I Don't Know where the music stops and then the saxophone comes in. And they use that saxophone again. It's the same guy. It's the same session guy. They're like, we got you on this song. Let's just use you on this song. We're paying you for the day, whatever. So Nightclub Jitters is just, there's nothing to Dose of Thunder is at least punk and it's like old school throwback Replacement. So I'm going to give it to Tim, Dose of Thunder as well.
Yeah, Nightclub Jitters is the only one I'm tempted to skip of all 22. It adds a little seasoning to the album when you just have the LP going, and I don't feel the need to get up and move the needle. But when I was streaming in my car, having all these tracks on shuffle, which is how I do this, so I don't prejudge too much what my picks are going to be. Nightclub Jitters, I know this one. Yeah, I was going to call it Days of Thunder. That's Dose of Thunder. It's almost hair metal-y a little bit, more so than punk with some of the riffs. But so it's not my favorite either, but definitely like it more than the alternative. So, Matt found a prop.
You can't do that to me, Jacob. You can't throw out a random movie, even if it's a shitty movie.
Oh, this Days of... Oh wow. That's some sort of special edition of it too?
Dude, it's 4K Days of Thunder. I don't even like this movie.
Yeah.
All right.
Track 5 is Waitress in the Sky.
Yeah.
That ends side 1.
That date. No, it doesn't end side 1 for me. It's the penultimate song on side 1.
Well, The Ledge does end side 1 on Pleased to Meet Me. And The Ledge is a song I really like. I also like Waitress in the Sky, though it is a little too harsh on stewardess or flight attendant for my taste. But I have to go with The Ledge. I mean, this is predating grunge by quite a bit, but that's a grunge song. I think so. Just in some of the delivery, like you can hear, they were ripping that off for years. A lot of those artists. I think The Ledge is a banger of a song. Great way to end this side.
I'll start by saying Paul Westerberg would agree with you, because if you've ever watched any of his interviews, they're either very silly and not serious in their interviews, but in an interview one time he did say that The Ledge was his favorite Replacement song ever.
Oh wow. So
you got
it has a hell of a chorus. It has got it's a great song. I didn't mean to downplay it for the humor, But yeah,
Yeah.
like what Matt said about hooks, so many great parts of that song.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about the grunge thing. That's a great point, because this is like, and like the picking throughout the, and man, that's a great song. This one's tough, actually. Waitress in the Sky, I agree, has kind of been one of those novelty songs, maybe, that was on Tim, but man, I don't know. I almost gotta
I
look at
like
this
it.
one.
Are you gonna go
I
with
think
it?
I think I would pick Waitress in the Sky. Yep.
Oh, Matt, you're the tiebreaker.
Nah, this one's easy for me. When I hear Waitress in the Sky, I hear Elvis Presley. I hear Queen doing Crazy Little Thing Called Love. I hear Billy Joel going, it's still rock and roll to me. I hear all that stuff. And then of course there's a I think reference to that Norman Greenbaum song, Spirit in the Sky. Maybe that's just because of the title, but I like the song. Don't get it twisted. All right. I do like the song, but The Ledge. Oh my God, what a song that is. One of my absolute favorite Replacement songs. And now you definitely hear grunge. You definitely could hear Kurt Cobain was listening to the Mats. I mean, a song like The Ledge, and even at the Ledge, just he's jumping off. It's a song about suicide. How hunky dory happy is that? But to me, it really sounds like REM. It sounds like early REM, big time. It sounds like Life's Rich Pageant. Actually, it sounds kind of like that middle pocket REM stuff. Fables of the Reconstruction. I think that song is awesome. Like Noah said, that little that little arpeggiated guitar finger picking. Absolutely love the song, and it's a great. So Jacob knows this. Noah, you know this too, and our audience knows this as well, because I say this every single show. How do I consume music? In the morning when I'm biking. That's how I listen to music. And when that song comes on, I'm just I'm just moving my legs like a thing possessed. And it's one of my absolute favorite Replacement songs, without a doubt. It might be a top 3 for me. I freaking love that song. It's also, I think, the longest song on. It's like a 4-minute tune, which is, for a Replacement song, is pretty long.
Mm-hmm.
But The Ledge, hands down. Waitress in the Sky is fine, but just no comparison. Ledge.
Speaking of Kurt Cobain, I'm breaking our own rule because I had a nice segue. Side 2, track 6 is Nevermind.
The last track on side 1 is Swingin' Party.
Thankfully, not a swing song, not that literal. Matt, you go first this time.
So I like both of these songs a good deal. That's fine. Would people have actually, if the song wasn't called Nevermind, would you think Nirvana or Kurt Cobain? Maybe actually. So he's, I love it at the is wasting time. It's kind of at the highest point of Westerberg's range, and Cobain will do that too, where his voice kind of cracks. Particularly on like the MTV Unplugged. So I guess you can hear a little Kurt Cobain there. You can also hear some. Is it John Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls?
Oh,
is that his name? You can hear
that sounds right.
You can hear that kind of voice in there. I like the song, man. I think Nevermind's great. This one's actually really tough for me because I also really love Swingin' Party. Swingin' Party's got like that bossa nova thing going on there, like the girl from Ipanema. It's got kind of that feel to it. It's jazzy, but it's not like so like blatantly jazzy like Nighttime Jitters. And man, this one's really, really tough for me. Swingin' Party is one of my favorite songs off of Tim. But I really like Nevermind. You know what? I like Swingin' Party better. I've got more history with that song, but through this exercise, Nevermind was always one that I liked, but I'm really liking it now. But Swingin' Party just goes back a long ways with me, so I'm gonna go Swingin' Party.
I think it's one of his best vocals on either album is in Nevermind. Swingin' Party, it's just an evocative song. It's one I like actually pulled up the lyrics and tried to parse them out, and I couldn't. But just if being sad is a crime will hang side by side, or not being alone, being scared. That's it. Being afraid. Being afraid is a crime. Will hang. It's just beautiful. Damn it. Damn it. My plan was to toss it to Noah to buy myself more time, and I didn't do that. I started talking like an ass. I'll go with Nevermind though. Just to add some suspense to when I do toss it to Noah.
This is the first time we've disagreed. Jake.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
We've been step for step up until now. But I can't blame him for that because it was a coin flip for me too.
Yeah, Nevermind is a great song. You on this song probably more than any other, maybe in the Replacements catalog, you really, I think somebody said you hear Westerberg's vocal shine on this song a lot. He started to do that a little bit more with his solo stuff and on All Shook Down a little bit too. I think that when I hear Swingin' Party, I think that it was like, I think that there's a lot of elements of like the CC Club in Minneapolis, where they would hang out and drink, on like Bryant and Lindale. I really think that this is the song that got me back into the Replacements after a long time. I think it's a sad song. I think it's like kind of like a cry for help kind of song. I just love the lyrics. Like I think you mentioned if being afraid is a crime, we hang side by side. But he says there's another lyric. If being strong's your kind, then I need help here with this feather. To show that I think he thought of himself as a weak person, and I think that was really a vulnerable thing for him to do, as Paul Westerberg was. And I'd go with Swingin' Party all day. I think Nevermind's a great song, but Swingin' Party for me.
I'm actually finally turning over the record now. So we're on side 2. Bastards of Young going up against.
It's called Valentine, which I'll go first this time. Valentine is, when I've listened to this album, it kind of struck me as filler before this exercise, to be honest. It was a song that I think Matt talked about, one song being like that where he never gave it much thought. But isolating it and returning to it and be like, I don't remember that one. I need to listen to it again. I grew quite an affection for it. But Bastards of the Young is probably my favorite rocker on either of these albums. So I'm going to go with Bastards.
Yeah. Bastards of Young is one of the most anthemic punk songs I think ever written, ever, of any band. I think that Westerberg is like pushing his vocals, his yells and to the absolute limit. And I think that songs like this are where bands like progressive metal and screamo and all those kind of bands really got like their, pushing it to the limit, making your vocals do everything they can do. All the bands that I still love today, like, cover this song. It's Bastards of Young for me by far.
Matt, make it a 3.
Yeah, Jacob, Valentine is a really solid song, and one that I appreciate more than I did 2 weeks ago. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfectly fine song. It's better than a fine song. I really enjoy listening to it, but Bastards of Young is just on a different solar system. It's just a better song. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right. What's next?
All right. We got Lay It Down Clown.
Shooting Dirty Pool, which these are probably my least favorite tracks on both.
This is a really good matchup though, isn't it? Because of that. I'll start.
You go first.
Lay It Down Clown is just meat and potatoes punk tune, right? There's not a whole lot going on with it. It's fine. It's a weaker song on the album for sure. Shooting Dirty Pool to me doesn't really have a punk flair to it. To me, it sounds more like The Cult, or it has like a Billy Idol type of feel to it. It's got more of like hard rock rocking than it, because Chris Mars isn't doing any kind of punk drumming. He's just doom, 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 doom. And it's more like riff bass. Ding, 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 ding. Shooting dirty pool, dirty lies. I like it better. I like it better than Lay It Down Clown, which is more of a meat and potatoes punk song. So yeah, I'm going with God. I can't say that. Shooting dirty pool. I'm going with Shooting Dirty Pool.
Lay It Down Clown, I think, is one of those songs that even the most fanniest fans of the Replacements kind of make fun of a little bit. I do think that the chorus, the "lay it down, clown," when they're yelling, I like that part. Okay, so real quick, I got to say, "Shooting Dirty Pool." You said it reminds you of the Cult or like Billy Idol. It reminds me of Judas Priest. That guitar,
everything coming. That's what it sounds like.
yes, it sounds like a Judas Priest song. And neither here nor there. That doesn't have anything to do with my decision, but I'm going to go with "Shooting Dirty Pool" as well, just because. Yeah, I think that I like the guitar in it a little bit more. Maybe I like the vocals in "Lay It Down, Clown," but I think overall as a song, I'd "Shooting Dirty Pool."
I'm going to go with you guys because I really can't decide. I'm being weak here because these are probably my least favorite. Not what I listened to the Replacements for, these two tracks. So I'll go with "Shooting Dirty Pool" just because I'm excited that someone else heard Judas Priest in it. So
I was going to say Midnight
well.
Oil too. It sounds like a Midnight Oil tune too.
All right, now we're through that. Okay.
Left of the dial.
It's red wine. Not they're not pulling a UB40 here. They're not covering Neil Diamond. Song.
Which was written by Neil Diamond, by the way. Red Wine.
Yeah. Neil Diamond. I like this better than the Neil Diamond version, if I'm going to be honest. I still like this red wine. Do I like it more than Left of the Dial? No, I don't. I think that's Left of the Dial. I think is a great song. It's anthemic is the word, and this is one of the few from Tim I was familiar with anyway. So I'm coming in with a little bit of bias. But Left of the Dial to me, Matt. I know you have a prop. I saw it earlier. Oh,
it's awesome.
I know from that box set.
So this is I got this probably, I don't know, 20 some years ago. Rhino Music used to release these comps. They did the Nugget series and they did a bunch of the different decade things. And this is one of my favorites. And the very first track, actually, there's only one Replacement song on here. It's "I Will Dare," which is probably my favorite Replacement song. It's the lead track off of "Let It Be." But and actually, "I Will Dare" would fit on Tim, I think, really well too. It's one of the least punky songs off of "Let It Be," but "Left of the Dial" it's talking about, college radio stations. Essentially, it's what made the Replacements like a household name, at least in the indie music circuit, because the stations that were on the left side of the dial would have been like mostly college radio. Jacob and I were on 98.1? 90, is that it?
9.1.
89.1, right? KWAR, the one. And believe it or not, I got this when I was in college, and I used to play "I Will Dare" on my college radio stations. But yeah, man, "Left of the Dial" is maybe my favorite song of this album. It's either between "Hold My Life" or "Bastards of Young." Those there's more songs that I like too. But yeah, this is so easy. Do I like Red Wine? Yes. Red Wine is awesome. Red Wine is a punky song, and there's like the best Westerberg screams on this song of any song. "Pleased to Meet Me" has like this is kind of a weird part of this album. You got Valentine "Shooting Dirty Pool." I still couldn't say it. Valentine "Shooting Dirty Pool" and Red Wine, and they kind of form like a trio of kind of just really good meat and potatoes, like hard punk driving songs, right? But they just don't differentiate enough. Left of the Dial, I love how it starts off, with the whole band, the whole ensemble playing, and then it just has Chris Mars going clink, 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 clink while Westerberg's singing, and you hear that great bass from Tommy Stinson come through, and then the whole band comes in. Yeah, I love this song. Never get sick of it. I've loved it for 20 years. Yeah, one of my favorite Replacement songs. Left of the Dial, definitely.
Noah, are you gonna make it 3 for 3?
Yeah, I would say that "Left of the Dial" is in my top 2 favorite Replacement songs, period. Just like what Matt had mentioned, the way everything goes away and all you hear is Westerberg's vocals and just the lyrics to this song. I just love the way he's talking about how this band and they didn't mention their name and "If I don't see you again for a long while, I'll try to find you, left of the dial." I just love the song. I love, and like Matt said too, the way the guitar comes in so heavy, and this is like this and "Bastards of Young" are like the two like just greatest I think songs on this album. And they're very similar to one another. They're kind of a toss up to me. Bastards of Young is up there with my favorite songs too. Left of the Dial is my favorite song.
We have 2 more tracks to go, and I think they're going to be, well, this one's going to be a tough one. I have a feeling.
Little Mascara versus
Skyway, acoustic track. Matt, how about you go first on this one?
very tough decision. I got to pull out my Let It Bleed prop again. Added a minute to Little Mascara on the remix, an additional minute. And the critics, when they talk about this, the very first song they talk about is that extra minute makes this song extra special. But I'm not using this as my basis for track versus track. I'm using this, which I still love. It's such a great feel-good power pop song. Skyway. Oh my God. Noah does this one too. And if you've ever been to Minneapolis before, hey, Jacob and I went to Wartburg. We had Skyways too, didn't we? I'm not a lyric guy, as both of you know, right? I listen to the music and the structure of the music and stuff like that. You guys are way more lyric guys than me because you're more intelligent than me. But I'm better looking, so it balances out. But just it's such a sad song. Here he is. This guy's walking beneath the Skyway. He sees somebody that he's just infatuated with, but they can't cross paths because she's up in the Skyway with the bums that are sleeping because it's cold outside, and that's just where they can find warmth. And then the next time he runs into her, he's up in the Skyway and she's down below, and they never meet. And this is like somebody that he feels like his soul is connected with. It's so heart-wrenching, man, and it's so beautiful, and it's just an acoustic guitar. But I love Little Mascara. I mean, what song do I want to listen to when I'm biking more? This one kind of pulls me down, man, into a funk. And this is a super short song. This is like right at 2 minutes, right? And this is now like the longest song with that extra mix. This is Sophie's choice, Jacob. This is Sophie's choice. I'm going to go with Little Mascara. You know me, Jacob. I don't like the softies as much, man. I love it, though. I love it. I actually would prefer Noah doing it over Westerberg, too. But that my opinion would change. But Little Mascara, man, there's something just so hooky about that song. I got to go with it. Sorry.
Noah,
Tim, for me.
Yeah, since you perform it, can we assume that it gets the edge over Little Mascara, or?
The quick version for me, yeah, it would be Skyway. I think that this song I think was a big song to a lot of the artists that I ended up listening to later in life, and currently still people like Ryan Adams and Jason Isbell and Connor Oberst of Bright Eyes, and all these people who ended up writing these very sad, very depressing, very candid songs about their lives and the way that they thought. And I think songs like Skyway were like the impetus to people writing music like that. And like Matt mentioned, just like this soul crushing feeling these two people can never meet. And also on a more literal version, the 12-string guitar that Westerberg plays on it is just awesome. Westerberg is known to play the 12-string instead of a 6-string acoustic, and I love that. And it's just a sad song, and I love it. But I also don't work out. So I like to listen to that.
I was going to say the acoustic sounds like diamonds. That's my comparison. I like it, and the vocals are very very Bright Eyes. Okay, it's probably my favorite of the acoustic tracks, but Little Mascara probably my favorite track of on both albums. A year ago, Matt and I did this series on the Arista Kinks, the Arista era of the Kinks, and I think I compared some of those tracks to Replacements tracks. And I'm not going to say this sounds like a Kinks track. I think it's more Clashes than anything. But the lyrics, all you lose is a Little Mascara, followed by the Left to Cry and Bridge. Very Ray Davies-ish lyrics. Little Mascara definitely gets the edge for me. Final track, Matt.
Here Comes a Regular, and that goes against
Can't Hardly Wait, which we already talked about a little bit, which was a Tim track, correct? Originally, like I
Yes.
heard it. I heard it was okay.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But without the horns. And so if that's on that box set, I want to hear it without the horns. So
Oh yeah, there's like
Well,
several versions of it on the box set. I think.
yeah,
Like,
and very in different lyrics, and his vocals are more all over the place, and it's. I'll say real quick, I prefer "Can't Hardly Wait" from "Pleased to Meet Me" over "Can't Hardly Wait" from Tim, but that's yeah.
but do you prefer it over what's it called? Another regular, the Monster Ballad?
So, do you want me to start this one?
Yeah, go ahead. Take us
Okay.
out.
So Matt mentioned earlier, Alex Chilton plays on "Can't Hardly Wait." I think that's really cool. The album was produced in Memphis, Tennessee. Obviously, Alex Chilton and Big Star and their roots in Memphis. I think that's really cool. I love the song "Can't Hardly Wait." I think it's super catchy. I love the abrupt stops, and then 5 seconds later, the music all comes back in with the horns and everything, and it's very orchestral, and I think that's awesome. I think that so Here Comes a Regular, written largely about when Westerberg would hang out at the CC Club in Minneapolis, and you would see these, these people come in all the time. You know, everybody wants to be a regular at the CC Club. They call out your name, all these things that he says in the song. Another side track, real quick. This is, I don't know if other people feel this way. I actually prefer "Here Comes a Regular" from the original version of Tim over the Ed Stasium mix. The Ed Stasium mix added a little bit more, a few more instruments, and really reduced the reverb on it, because "Here Comes a Regular" is a very reverby, echoey song. I guess I got so used to listening to it that way that I felt like that made it perfect. For me, this one is really hard too. I think this is one of the hardest matchups on the albums, but for me, I would go with "Here Comes a Regular."
I'm a Can't Hardly Wait guy, so it's up to Matt to break the tie.
I love them both. I actually prefer the "Here Comes a Regular" off the Ed Stasium mix, because they really bring out the piano and the cello, which I've got a soft spot for those two instruments. Obviously, my wife plays the cello. Can't Hardly Wait. I do love the horns. I love the horns on it. I like the versions without the horns, but I mean, that's my gateway replacement song. And had it not been for that song, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you guys right now. So therefore, I'm going with "Pleased to Meet Me." Can't Hardly Wait.
So Matt, tally up the scores.
All right. Well, we all had the same score. We all were 7 for Tim and 4 for "Pleased to Meet Me." However, we picked different songs and different combinations, but we all ended up with Tim as 7 versus "Pleased to Meet Me" with 4. And I love both of these albums, but I'm not surprised that that's the outcome. I assumed that Tim would win. But this is a great, there are definitely songs that I picked on Tim over "Pleased to Meet Me," where some of the songs on "Pleased to Meet Me" would have beaten those songs off of Tim. It's the luck of the draw, isn't it? I mean, this documentary right here is a fantastic documentary about the Replacements, and it goes through every album and the beginning of the band. And I think you can stream it on Amazon. It's called "Color Me Obsessed." Excellent documentary. And if you want to hear a little bit about Big Star, this is quite a popular Big Star documentary. Nothing Can Hurt Me. So those would be some additional resources to watch if you want to hear about, what inspired Westerberg. And then this is just a fantastic documentary.
Excellent. Like I said, this was the only one I owned, only because it's the only vintage copy to have come through my record store. But the first time I listened to Tim, I was like, oh, that's clearly a better album. It's going to be a blowout. So I'm actually pleased that it was closer than it was, and that it won via different routes, I suppose. Closing thoughts, Noah?
Yeah, I mean, Tim to me is the better album. For in the discography, I would rank Tim is right up there for me with "Let It Be." To to be honest, I think that those two can a lot of times be interchangeable in my mind, and I think Pleased to Meet Me usually comes in third, right up there with Sorry Ma Forgot to take out the trash. But yeah, not really surprised. I love the album. I love the new Ed Stasium mix, and I don't know, they're great. I love them.
Well, thank you for joining us, and Matt, thank you for getting the gang back together. And please rate, review, subscribe if you disagree, put it in the comments, and we'll be back in a year or something. Who knows? Bye.